I'm Ed Czerwien with the U.S. Department of Ag Market News Department in Amarillo, Texas, and I've been a student of the beef trade most of my life, having worked for Wilson & Company many years ago as a cattle buyer and in the product department. And I've followed the box beef cutout for quite a few years. And as most people watch that daily spot trade, which is reported both in the morning and the afternoon, that represents 10 to 13% of the total volume that we have during the week. It's usually 800 or 1,000 loads of product on that spot trade if you total it up during the week. However, there's also a comprehensive cutout report that comes out on Monday morning, and that's the total of all the different types of sales. That includes the spot trade, the formula trade, the out front sales, and the export sales. So it's a composition of everything. Now that usually runs about 6,000 to 8,000 loads for the week, and that's probably a really important report if you want to kind of watch things to see what's going on. And the week ending February 16th, the cutout, the choice cutout on that comprehensive trade was $184.50, and that was down about $10 since December, so that's quite a drop. And the load count was 6,192 loads, and that was the smallest non-holiday load count since July of 2009. So things were a little tough. We lowered the price quite a bit, and we didn't get quite the product sold that we wanted to. But beyond that, I take a look at a 10-week rolling average, because every week it kind of bobs around quite a bit. And when you average the last 10 weeks, in this year, we've had about 6,600 loads of box beef sold for the average every week. And that compares to 7,200 or 7,300 loads per each week a year ago during the same 10-week period of time. So you see that we're about 600 loads per week below last year in box beef sales. So that's a number that you need to keep in mind. And 600, the number 600 in today's standards is not a very big number until you start to equate it to live cattle. It takes 60 or 70 live cattle to make a load of box beef, and that's because there are different weights, and also they fabricate the cuts differently. But if you take that 600 loads and multiply it times 60 head per load, that's about 36,000 head each and every week for the last 10 weeks that we harvested, but we didn't get sold, compared to a year ago. So, and over a 10-week period of time, that's 360,000 head. So our sales have been a lot tougher than a lot of people realize. Another thing that I watch quite a bit is the national steer carcass weight. And the reason I look at the steer carcass weight is because it represents the feedlot industry. It's not the total weight that includes cows. And that weight has been quite high and affects the amount of volume of meat that we have for sale. Early in February, that we were running about 872 pounds for the average for the national steer carcass weight, and that compared to 860 last year at the same time. And 12 pounds again doesn't sound like a very big number, but when you multiply that over a long period of time, like 10 weeks, that gets to be an enormous number. When I took a look at the last 10 weeks, and I got the NAS figures, which is National Agricultural Statistical Service, and they put out the steer and heifer numbers and the carcass weights each week. When I looked at the total of the last 10 weeks, we had 82 million pounds more beef produced this year than a year ago. So, and if you take that 82 million pounds and divide it by the average 800-pound carcass, you could see that in the 10-week period of time, we produced the equivalent of about 100,000 more head than we did a year ago. So when you add that the fact that we didn't have as many sales, 360,000 head fewer sales in the last 10 weeks, plus we produced another 100,000 head than we did a year ago, equivalent, you could see that our box beef sales have been pretty tough this last 10 weeks. Now, one thing that really helps us out and also hinders us at times is we've had so much technology increases over the years, and that vacuum packaging and box beef has made the shelf life really extended, and it's been really, really good for our exports. That's one of the things that has helped us export meat overseas, is because the shelf life has improved quite a bit. But on the other hand, there's times when sales are sluggish, we have a tendency we can accumulate product for a long period of time. So, and that doesn't always show up in the cold storage right away, because if you look at the very back end of the cold storage report, the last few paragraphs, you'll see that packing plant boxed beef inventories, if they roll those inventories once every 30 days, it doesn't get reported on that boxed beef or on the cold storage report. So it's a kind of a sluggish and a slow way to surface, and it's going to be very interesting in the upcoming weeks to see how these lack of sales here in the last 10 or 20 weeks has impacted the cold storage report. Thank you. This has been Ed Czerwien with the USDA in Amarillo, Texas.